How's it, punters? Welcome back to the Best Sports Betting Podcast. We've got a pretty interesting episode today. With me, as always, is Simon. We're going to go through some of the recent Premier League action, talk about the rugby that happened over the weekend, as well as the F1. We're going to jump into some previews for the Premier League, the Champions League, and we've also got a quick look at some of the quick chat rather about the upcoming Summer Cup 2020. Simon, how's it going? A pretty interesting weekend of sports results.
It was, yeah. I think, the rugby on Saturday was certainly a highlight for me. We can get into some detail there, but also some good football and quite an exciting race in the F1 too.
Yeah, I fancied England there. England did come through with a win. It was a very close score. I think we'll start off with talking about that game. I feel it could have
Yeah,
gone either way. It was a strong start for England. I thought they were going to smash us after watching that first half. And we just kind of then dominated the game physically. And either side could have won it. England were the one scoring tries. We weren't. We left a lot of points with the field. Alejandro Pollard. I don't want to say he had a shocker, but yeah, just not good enough.
yeah. I was pretty neutral in my assessment of this match, but I must say, you kind of talked me more towards the England side. And I think that the game started that way. I mean, I think England were definitely, good value for their early lead. Um, but South Africa came out of the gates pretty strong in the second half. But I must say, just sort of obviously there's a lot of sort of politics and drama building up to this game with regards to Rassie. Obviously, World Rugby
Mm,
put a ban on him
two
just a
months,
couple
eh?
days before this match, which is obviously, that I think the timing of that was a little unfortunate and I think very intentional, to be honest. I think that put a bit of a damper on it. But that was actually was interesting because South Africa's odds actually shortened with that news. Obviously, thinking that that would actually galvanize the team. But yeah, I think the big takeaway from the box, I think, is look. I mean, we left 9 points on the field, as you said. England didn't falter once on their boot, so that was something. I mean, I must say, I think there were a few more dodgy decisions that were made against South Africa in this match. I think both the penalties against Khaleesi and Etzebeth, both for challenging the ball, when they were deemed to be in a sort of unreasonable position to catch it, were quite harsh.
Yeah, yeah,
I don't think they were dangerous, especially when you compare to very similar challenges by England, which weren't blown by the refs. So I
yeah.
must say, I didn't think it was a very well officiated match. And even if you look at the faces of the England's players after they won that match, I must say I couldn't help but think they sort of looked like they didn't really deserve it. They looked like a bunch of players were kind of sort of pleasantly surprised, and instead of being absolutely stoked to have beaten the number one side. So I think that kind of says it all. It sort of ended with a bit of a sort of funny feeling about that match. And I think that I think if there was going to be a winner, it should have been the Springboks. But I think good call on England.
Yeah, the price was too good to turn down, and it drifted out even more, and ended up taking even more of England then. So
Yeah.
I was on the that was it's another case of wrong side, right result, if that makes sense. But
Yes, absolutely.
glad I picked up a win there. Unfortunately, your double didn't come in with the F1 though. Hamilton
Mm.
dominated that race. Verstappen coming second, still a solid strike there. I mean,
Oh,
the
but I
odds you
mean,
got were really good.
absolutely. But I mean, again, Verstappen, his own worst enemy. He managed to escape a grid penalty from the FIA. Having squeezed Hamilton off the track in Brazil. That's up for debate. I think he was in the wrong there. But then he ignored a double wave flag during the practice in Qatar. So if a driver goes off the track and it's deemed dangerous for another driver to be speeding past him, they'll wave a yellow flag, and he ignored those, and so got a five place penalty, which meant he started in seventh. But he actually made up those places in 4 or 5 laps and was sitting behind Hamilton in second in no time. But even from the early stages, Hamilton kind of stretched his lead from around 4 to 8 seconds, and sort of by lap 15, he was all over him. But uh, Mercedes did something which I think was quite obvious, but actually very smart tactically, and that was just literally, once they had a nice lead with through Hamilton over Verstappen, they just copied exactly what Red Bull did. So Verstappen went into the pits after about 15 laps, and then Mercedes did exactly the same thing there. And I think the idea there was, mirroring Red Bull would leave less chance of anything changing in the race. So obviously being
Yeah.
ahead, if you just copy the other team exactly, you hope things will just stay exactly as they are, which I think is very smart.
Yeah.
And that's what they did, and it worked very well. I don't think. Look, Max made up some ground on Hamilton, only about a second by the end of the race, so it really wasn't enough. But obviously, as I said, every time Red Bull pitted, Mercedes pitted, they put on exactly the same compound tires, the same age tires all the time. So basically, they were leaving nothing to chance, and just basically playing the odds there. So yeah, it was a good race from Mercedes, but disappointing that Verstappen kind of was his own worst enemy and kind of penalized himself there. So yeah.
Yeah, pretty interesting going into the next race, which I thought was this week, but it's next week, and we'll chat
Mm.
about the F1 Saudi in the next podcast. But let's move over to the Premier League, where there are a couple of interesting results. I think the biggest one is Solskjaer is now gone. He's been sacked, as he should have been
Yeah,
weeks ago after that 4-1 loss to Watford,
yeah,
which I actually
that's right.
fancied United to win. I really thought they were going to pick up a win there, but no, they just got absolutely hammered. Not sure what's
Yeah,
going on.
yeah. Look, I think as much as I agree, it's the right move. It has to be. And at the end of the day, at a club like that, you have to keep the fans happy. I'm not sure I fancy any of the replacements, to be honest, to do a much better job, especially straight out the blocks. I see Pochettino is now the odds-on favorite to take the job, and he'll be moving from PSG. But I don't know. Maybe I'm underestimating him a bit, but I'm not sure he's the right man to kind of shake things up and get the players motivated enough to start winning silverware again.
Yeah, a few mentions of Zidane as well, but I don't know if that's
Yeah,
going to
I
happen.
mean the market looked quite different a couple of days ago, but now it looks not dead certainty, but it looks very likely that it will be Pochettino.
Yeah, not a great move for an ambitious club.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think and it's obviously interesting going into their match, which we'll talk about on the weekend against Chelsea, because you always expect, clubs generally where there's a change in management, they tend to perform well. I'm just not convinced that with that change, with Carrick as temporary manager, there's going to be much of a lift
Yeah,
in
especially
performance.
against Chelsea.
Yeah,
But yeah, then we also had Newcastle picking up a nice 3-all draw, 6 games in that
yeah.
6 goals in that game against Brentford. Kind of Newcastle's. I don't want to say they're turning the corner, but defensive problems are still there. But yeah, I
Absolutely.
fancied goals in that game, and there were goals. So
Yeah, I remember actually. Yeah, you tipped up both teams to score in the best sports betting on the YouTube channel with your picks there, and we both fancied Brentford on the draw no bet, which obviously pushed because it was a draw. But admittedly, as you say, Newcastle were the better side. They certainly had a lot more shots on goal and a bit more of the possession too. But yeah, so that was I thought that Brentford or Newcastle were being a little bit Brentford were being a little bit under respected there. But yeah, I mean, just going back to Chelsea, I think they look the real deal this season, and I really hope that we have a title race right until the end, and Liverpool rather than City are kind of their closest rivals. That's what I'm hoping for.
yeah, so Chelsea, who did they play over the weekend? I can't.
Leicester,
Was it Leicester? Yes, they won a. It was like
yes,
3-0, I think, away from
that
home.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, they
comfortable
absolutely
win.
dominated them. Yeah.
Then we had Liverpool smashing Arsenal 4-0. Arsenal were okay in the first half and then just fell apart in the second half. And you got to feel that Arteta's also got to be. Look, they've gone on a nice long winning streak, but as soon as they come up against any sort of decent opposition, it just
That's it.
completely falls
Yeah.
apart for them.
Yeah, I mean, despite their impressive vein of form, I mean, Liverpool did make light work of them. And I think it's testament to a very competitive league that Liverpool are still sitting only third on the table, despite seeming almost invincible. To be honest, like as far as I'm concerned, they really, really seem a solid team, and they're still sitting in third. No, look, it's tight, but still. But nice to see a few different players getting on the score sheet for Liverpool. Jota and Minamino also chipping in. Not just the usual Salah and Mane and Firmino. So nice to see them spreading the goals around a bit.
And I thought that price last week on Liverpool was quite a gift, and I took that in quite a few of my accumulators
Mm,
as well.
sure.
I think the -1 was also a fancy. But
Yeah.
we also had City beating Everton 3-0. Just that it wasn't a magnificent display by City, but just like a workman like we're just going to go there,
Mm,
we're going to go pick up the win, looking very
yeah.
impressive. And then Spurs actually managing to pick up a 2-1 win over Leeds as well. I like Spurs there. They were also a great price for that game. I just thought they were going to be better than the Leeds side, and they ended up winning that game. So I'm quite happy that I got on. Unfortunately, one of the accumulators that I took had City, it had Spurs, and then it had United in it. And the only reason I
Uh,
threw in United was just to get a little bit of extra value there. And gosh,
yeah.
how that backfired. But
Sure.
yeah, but anyway, let's jump into to a look at the upcoming Champions League first, which is taking place tonight, and it's taking
Yes.
place on Wednesday as well. We've got some really cool matchups. We've got Chelsea versus Juventus. I think there's two matches that I'm really looking forward to. Let me just run through the ones that I've got here. I've got Chelsea, Juventus, Barca, Benfica. I fancy Barca. Liverpool versus Porto, and City versus PSG. I think is going to be an absolute cracker. So it's the Chelsea and the City game that I'm really looking forward to. Those are the highlights for me.
Yeah, for sure. And I think in terms of permutations, not just on paper, but just in terms of the way the table's sitting and progressing, this is obviously match day 5 of 6. So it's the penultimate week before the knockout stages. I think Man City and PSG looks a good game from both those sort of points of view. And I must say, I think Man City are quite short in the odds here. I mean, both teams looking very likely to qualify. So there's a bet that I really like for this one, and I think it's the draw at 4.34, which I think is a very nice price. You consider, I mean, I don't think there's a huge gulf in talent between these teams, and like as you know, as I said, they don't have, they both look very likely to qualify. So I don't think they're going to take the match lightly, but I think that City should be much closer to even money in this match.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a comfortable one for City. I don't see them dropping points on this one. PSG,
Mm.
as good as they are, they're not as good, nowhere near as good as Man City. On paper,
Yeah.
sure, they can compete, but I think on the pitch, City have not been underperforming this season, whereas PSG have been somewhat underperforming. I do fancy City to pick up like a 1-0, 2-0 win. I don't think it's going to be a high scoring game,
Mm.
but it's going to be an entertaining one to watch. Both teams to score maybe, but I'm just looking forward to watching that one. And then Chelsea also should be able to pick up a comfortable win against Juventus, in my opinion, at least. I think Juventus also is
Yeah.
struggling somewhat.
I mean, both these teams also almost guaranteed to
Mm,
progress. So
it is a
again,
risk.
you could argue not a hell of a lot to play for. Again, Juventus it looks to me quite a big price here too.
Mm,
Um, but they do. I just looked into the match there, and they do have a few players missing. Cellini, Danilo, and Ramsey are all missing from Juventus. So that could definitely be contributing to that quite big price on Juventus. So maybe one to stay away from.
mm. And then Liverpool versus Porto. Liverpool really temptingly priced at 5 to 6, 1.9 around there.
Yeah, I mean that is they're dead certain to go through. So
Yeah,
I
the
think
dead
that
rubber.
again very risky because look, I don't think that Liverpool are a team that are gonna, just they're gonna take the match seriously. But I just think when you've got guaranteed to progress, they might have their eye on the weekend already. So
Yeah,
I think that's it's perhaps a bit risky to invest in them there.
I'm looking at Liverpool to win the first half here. I'm seeing if I can find a price on it, but that's what I'd fancy in this game is Liverpool to be leading at half time,
Mm.
and
And then perhaps they just sit back a little bit. Who knows?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
sub off some of the I think they'll start their this a strong lineup, and I think that they'll probably sub off quite a few of those after half time. So maybe something like Liverpool half time and full time draw might be
Sure, that'll be a big
a
price, I'm
little
sure.
tasty bet. Yeah, I can't quite find it here on Betway, but I'll have a closer look later. Wait, it should be here actually. Let's see what can you get on these. Team to lead at half time. High scoring half full to half time, full time. Oh gosh, there's just so many different markets. I'm not gonna be able to find. Okay, half time, full time. No, there's just too much over on Betway. So let's jump over to some of the Premier League action. Unless you've got any best bets for the Champions League.
There's not there are a couple that I like in the EPL, but I just think that at the latter stages of group stage in the Champions League. I think that there too many permutations, or maybe a lot of teams are kind of almost certain to go through. So I think it's a little bit of a risky proposition to bet these games, in my opinion.
Okay, then on to the Premier League we go. And first off, we've got Arsenal versus Newcastle. And I think this is a bad spot for Newcastle. It's a good spot for Arsenal to bounce back after that loss. Arsenal, as I mentioned earlier, they've been playing really poorly against the kind of more premier sides.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean Newcastle as well. Just I don't know what it is, but they always just get absolutely annihilated by Arsenal,
yeah, yeah.
generally speaking. And look, as you say, I think that they obviously are going to feel a bit deflated after last week and want to get 3 points. And this is the perfect opportunity for the Gunners. So can't argue with you there.
Yeah, 1.47. It might not sound that attractive, but I mean, even the handicap, which is 2.17, I do fancy. I think Arsenal win this one quite comfortably, maybe 2-3-0. I don't think Newcastle will score in this game. So that'll be a banker bet for any accumulators that you could be taking over the weekend. I just don't see Newcastle picking up any sort of result away at Arsenal. Like as I mentioned, it's a decent side against a side that's really struggling, and Arsenal are a side that will put away these lower teams,
Yeah.
these kind of teams of less quality, unfortunately. Then we've got not too much else to talk about other than the big one, but there's also Man City versus West Ham. I think Man City are very short at 1.32. West Ham's a pretty big price there. I don't think West Ham are going to upset the apple cart,
Yeah. I mean,
but I do
especially if
find
you.
that a bit short.
Yeah, I mean, look, obviously they've got a fairly big game against PSG on Tuesday as well, whereas West Ham obviously don't have any Champions League responsibilities. So that's also perhaps a reason to
They're
consider
playing
West
in
Ham.
the Europa League, aren't they?
Oh, that's
West Ham,
right. Oh,
yeah.
that's right. So they won't be. Oh, in fact, well, they will
It's on
have.
Thursday.
So West Ham will actually. Well, City will actually have fresher legs then, I suppose.
Mm.
Yeah, but there's actually a bet that I quite like here, and this would definitely be my EPL bet of the week. Is actually getting with Everton against Brentford. I mean, look, obviously Everton are on a very poor run at the moment, but I think even the visiting Toffees are being a bit disrespected here. They're winless in 6 games, but I still don't think Brentford should be favourites. I think these teams should be priced around the same.
Yeah,
Close to
it's quite a gap there.
17 to 10. So I think a 6 to 10 on the Everton double chance looks actually a very nice bet. Um, I think that the memory is a bit short here. I think that getting the fact that Brentford are favourites is a little dodgy if you ask me.
Yeah, I'd also have this one closer to Pickham, but
Yeah,
I just can't get involved with Everton. It's I mentioned many
it's
times. It's not
against
very.
against religion. Yeah,
Yeah. It's I'll burn in hell if I take anything on that one.
yeah.
Then Chelsea versus Man United. That's the big one for the
Mm,
weekend.
mm.
I don't see anything other than a Chelsea win. I think that 1.6, 1.59 is it's a gift in my eyes. I can't make a case for United here. Yes, they're going to have a new manager. As you mentioned
Well,
earlier, there's that bounce back factor, and there's that manager gone factor. All of that against Chelsea, like no.
well, normally there are all those factors. I totally agree with you, but the thing is, as I mentioned earlier, I mean, look, as much as United fans will probably be feeling some relief, they're going to have to wait before Michael Carrick is relieved of his duties as a temporary manager, and a new manager, comes to town. So, often you see an injection of life, into clubs when new management comes, but I'm not sure we'll see that with United. Maybe once Pochettino or whoever replaces him, um, then perhaps United will get a lift. But I can't see that happening. The first week,
Yeah, especially
especially when.
against a side like Chelsea.
Absolutely. There is a bit. So I agree with you. I don't think Chelsea's a great price, but I think it's a very fair price. But it's actually a bet that I like more, and I think you're going to disagree with me on this one. But it's actually both teams to score, and that's at 1.96,
Ooh,
which I
that
think is a
that is a
very
big
nice
price, eh? Wow.
price. You can't fault Chelsea's defense. Okay, they've kept a lot of clean sheets. In fact, just over half their games they've kept clean sheets. But United haven't failed to score away from home since the last season. which might be hard to believe, but literally
It is
since
pretty
they
hard to
played
believe.
since they played Leeds, yeah, since they played Leeds in week 33 of last season, that's the last time that they didn't score away from home, and that was a 0-0 draw. So I think there might be goals in this one, and I mean basically almost just betting on United to score a goal because it's almost inevitable that Chelsea will score. So I think 1.96 is actually a very nice price on
Yeah,
both teams to score.
not
Yeah.
not not a, not a bad price at all. I mean, I think this one's probably going to be go overs in my opinion as well.
Yeah.
Maybe
So
like a 3-1 or something like that for Chelsea.
yeah, and I got this sort of feeling as well that United might score first. I don't know why. I just have that feeling, and it might end a sort of 2-1 or something like that to Chelsea. But I must say, I think that United will net in this game, and I think Chelsea almost guaranteed to. So I think both teams to score at a almost an odds against price is very nice.
All right, awesome. What about Chelsea to win and not keep a clean sheet? I think that's also looking pretty.
Sure. And so what I imagine that would be closer to 17-10, or I
So yeah,
haven't
I'm looking
looked.
at if I've got the right market here, it looks to be
Hmm.
3.1, which is pretty good.
Okay, so basically match winner in both teams to score. That's
Yeah,
what you that's
yeah.
what
Oh,
you're
here we
saying.
go.
Yeah.
Here we go. I found it over here. Yeah, yeah. Wow, Chelsea. Both teams to score and Chelsea to win is 3.38.
Wow, that's nice. I
That
like
is
that a
big.
lot. Yeah.
That is really big. Even if you don't fancy that, Chelsea and both teams not to score is 2.39. There's also some really good odds there. To be honest, I don't see Chelsea losing this one. I
Yeah.
might have some of that Chelsea and both teams to score. I think that's a really nice price
Mm,
that they've got up there.
yeah.
Right then, I don't think there's too much else that's going on in the Premier League that's kind of noteworthy. Let me just have a quick last look. No, not really much else that's worth talking about. Liverpool Southampton should be a
Yeah, that
straight easy
Sunday
win
game's gonna be.
for them. Yeah, the Sunday games. Yeah, that big one was City against West Ham. Well, Leicester versus Watford. I mean, Leicester, Chelsea, United. Yeah, I've spoken about that. So Leicester, Watford, 1.6 on Leicester. I think that's yeah. I'm not going to get involved there. I think that's a little too short. But yeah, then there's also the Summer Cup coming up, Simon. The it's what's
Hmm.
it, the WSB Summer Cup. They've stepped in as sponsors for it. It looks to be a pretty kind of set field. I don't think that there's going to be a winner outside the top three. I've got the odds here, and we've got War of Athena that is favourite at 2.86 at the moment. We've got Malmus at 3.03, and then Got the Green Light, which is kind of my fancy, at 4.55, which has actually drifted out a little bit. And then outside of that, you've got Bingwa and a few kind of also ran horses at odds starting at about 14 and then heading down to about 66 to 1.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you believe the bookmakers, it's a 3 horse race, as you said, between those three at the top, which are quite short priced, and then Got the Green Knight. Obviously, he was I think he was joint favourite for the Durban July earlier this year, and he's at odds at 4.55. So
Yeah,
yeah,
he,
look, I
he
mean,
came third in the July.
came third, but
Yeah.
I think he was actually favoured to win though. I think it might have been a joint favourite. Depends which book you were looking at, but certainly fancied in the July and did pretty well. Yeah. So look, I mean, it looks like it'll be a 3 horse race. Who knows? I was just looking into a bit of stats here around this event. I mean, it hasn't run in 3 years. Obviously, 2 of those years related to COVID, and then I'm not sure what happened in 2019. But only one horse has actually won this race more than once, which is quite interesting because it goes back, many, 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 many years. And that was Master Sabina, and that's actually 2015 and 2016. So quite interesting that there's been such a variety of winners at a race which has been going for so long. So that was quite interesting.
Yes, could be one a bit of a cat among the pigeons there with an outsider, but I
Yeah.
fancy Got the Green Light. Although I'm not going to be taking it too seriously, the betting. And then we've got Black Friday coming up this Friday, Simon, and unfortunately the bookmakers have just been yeah, they've been very skimp with their
Quite.
Black Friday promotions. Usually they
Mm.
start out quite early. We've got the 15% deposit match bonus from Hollywood Bets, which is a max deposit match up to 3,000 Rand. WSB coming out of the couple, but other than that, like I've had a couple emails about specials that are planned, but I mean, there's no point emailing it to me and not launching it on your site.
Yeah, I mean, sitting here on Tuesday afternoon, you would think they were trying to get that information out sort of before last weekend to give people kind of a
Yeah,
week.
or even Monday at the latest.
Mm,
But hopefully we can see some offers. I think Betway will come up with some offers on the day as they usually do. I think Bet.co's also have a couple offers that are enhanced boosts and stuff, but it's not really the kind of thing that I'm interested in. You're looking for those like deposit matches and
yeah,
bonuses and all of that. So it's disappointing. But
yeah.
hopefully we can see something a bit better towards the weekend and get some extra
Yeah, I
funds
mean,
for the betting.
bet.co.za, I mean, I get a message almost every day, I would say, offering a 15%. So if it's, unless it's bigger than that, it's kind of not very interesting, is it? I mean, I don't know
Yeah,
what the, but that's something which they seem to offer all the time, basically.
it really
So
should be like 100% deposit match.
absolutely. Yeah.
And look, you're never going to get that from Hollywood because I think they would go bankrupt if they gave everyone a 100% deposit match. But from the smaller bookies, I'm hoping we'll see something coming out. But yeah, guys, that's where we're going to call it. Thanks for tuning into this episode. Hopefully, we have a nice weekend. I really fancy that bet from Simon, Chelsea to win and both teams to score. I think those odds are really good. But for my bankers, I'm going to go with Arsenal. That I can't look past Arsenal the handicap as well. I think that's going to be my banker of the weekend. If you want to take some combined odds, I think maybe go with Arsenal, Liverpool, City, Chelsea should be a banker as well. Those four are going to net you 4.09 with a including the boost over on Betway. So your £1 bet's going to return 3.93, 4.09 with a boost, and it's going to return a decent amount. I think those are pretty safe. There's no safe thing in betting, but yeah, it should be a solid runner. What do you think, Simon?
Yeah, for sure. I think that, often looking at a few strong favorites in the week, they kind of look like there's I think the only one really would be United, and I just can't see it happening. It's just I don't, so I think that those sure things look pretty good.
Yeah, so I'll have a bet on that, and hopefully those come through. But yeah, guys, thanks for tuning into the episode, and we'll catch you in the next one. Have a good one. Cheers.